Okay. Hello, this is Andy Lee Graham and Charlie Foxtrot. It's a military term. Charlie Foxtrot. That's what I want to say today. Okay, I had 2 stents put in my heart on Tuesday, the 20th of August. Today is I don't know, August 26th, 2024. So today's, let's see, what is it? Thursday. Okay, so like a couple of days ago. And what they do is they had a cardiac catheterization where they put a tube up into my heart and they viewed it. After doing many other types of studies, they finally did the one that actually is decisive. Okay, so they went up in there and they found that one of my arteries that was giving oxygenated blood to the lower part of my heart was blocked 85%. They put 2 stents in. Now they say that it's completely open, 100% open, even though what they did when they put this thing inside, it spreads out. It's like a steel thing or titanium or some kind of metal that doesn't react easily at the body, and it goes out. It I probably made that tube or pipe thicker, right? Bigger. So they didn't remove the stuff. They just made it bigger. Okay, so I don't know. Okay, but they also made me a little nervous because there's a couple little spurs off there, and the doctor didn't really tell me how they did this, and they didn't show you any pictures or anything. And I just got out of. They had some sort of when you get a cardiac thing. I actually fell asleep through the whole thing. Didn't have to experience any of it other than freezing to start out. And they put the tube up in my heart, and they come out very dizzy because they put some sort of sleeping pills or whatever, sleeping injected into my IV, a bunch of things. Secondary problem was they also took a CT without the chemicals, without the dyes or anything, which is for some reason, and then they found that there was an aneurysm. An aneurysm is when the pipe sort of gets a little too bigger. So I guess after 5 centimeters, they consider it pretty drastic. Not really clear on this. It was very ambiguous, the reading on my chart. I do believe that my chart is something they use all through the United States. Tom, a friend of mine, was talking about it, using it in Baltimore. Okay, point is those are the thing. Now I'm going to go tell you the whole story because they told me I had a heart attack. Okay, and then yesterday they told me I didn't have a heart attack. Do I trust this? Not really. Okay, it's Charlie Foxtrot. Okay, why? Because there's a lot of ambiguities going on, and there's missing. Now, communication between all these departments is not. That's one of the problems I see with the United States. And so I'm going to tell you some takeaways. The biggest takeaway that you can know about going to a doctor in the United States is you have to tell them what you want them to do. Because they are just going to sit there and act like, what do you want us to do? And they're not really, I think for probably liability reasons, they don't really tell me. So if you do your research like I do, pretty much every time I've ever talked to a doctor, which is not very much, longer than 5 minutes was ridiculous, they pretty much told me what I was going to do the next step. So they did step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. It's like a protocol to get to the point where they did the conclusive one. Everything up to that was just guessing. Okay. But this all started because I was trying to do a knee replacement, which was going quite pretty good, which is just more like a sawing off your legs and doing it. It's just purely construction work. But they did an EKG prior, and I had a burp on it. Okay. Meaning that there was an elongated electrical. EKG is for electrical, okay? What I did yesterday was for veins, arteries, and things like that. And they got different ones. A vein is one that is, I guess, going back to the heart, and artery is one that's going to feed the body with the oxygenated blood after it gets oxygenated in the lungs. Okay. You can watch all these videos on YouTube. I don't really think I need to really go into these. If anybody is really interested in these, they can get on YouTube and you can watch. I've made multiple videos, playlist, collecting information on this thing. Okay, so the long story. Now I'll tell you the long story. So the takeaways I want you to remember is you got to tell the doctor what you want them to do. That's why they put these commercials on TV, so you can force them to do it. Okay, but you have to tell the doctor what you want to happen. You have to know what the prospective thing and don't go the conservative thing, go to the maximum. Like they could have started me out in the knee replacement. They could have gave me a cortisone shot, which would have been gone after about 2 or 3 weeks. And I would have had to done this again and again and again and again forever. Okay. And the doctor didn't advise me. He just said, what do you want to do? And I go, I want you to tell me as the doctor what you advise. Okay, he didn't do that, so I chose the surgery one because I knew the cortisone thing was kind of a joke, okay? That's just to stop the pain, okay? And it'll stop the pain if you gave me one every 3 weeks and for the rest of my life, right? But the knee pain was a stage 4 severe, meaning that there's bone on bone. So right now, I'm not sure if I'm going to have that done. I'm still trying to talk to Ann, the coordinator, but she told me that if it was a luting or a secreting stent, this thing that expands in the blood vein, if it secretes some sort of blood thinner, then I couldn't do it for 6 months. So I hypothetically right now say it's going to be 6 months from now for doing. So I'm going to probably go to where am I going to go? Israel, okay? And I may go to Africa. And I may not get this knees done for 2 or 3 years. I have no idea. I have learned how to lubricate my knees by sitting on a table and putting my knees and rotating my knees up and down. And I'm getting on an inversion table. It actually takes away about 80% of the pain. Okay, if I do this like 2 or 3 times a day. That means I have to sit on a table, hang my legs over the thing, and basically increases synovial fluid going to the joint, the knee joint, okay? And you can do this on any joint. You can just wiggle the joint, and there's a lubricant called synovial fluid that is lubricating your joint. So if I pump it up full of blood and it cushions the knees and it makes it feel better. There is some theory that you can do it, and you actually can take a shot where you squirt in some sort of lubricating thing and it just puts a buffer between there. There is some theory that you can regrow cartilage. I mean, they're going to tell you can't. So everybody's not really cutting edge. They're basically an anachronism. They're telling you the same thing over and over and over for the last 10, 20 years, according to the level of the doctor's ability to stay as a perpetual learner, a continuous learner. I'm a continuous learner, so I really study things. And I made a video the other day where I presented this database I have, which has over 500 different playlists on it. Each one of the playlists on YouTube has like 3 to 8, 10 videos. And so every time another thing comes up, I watch 5 or 6 videos on the subject. Okay, cardiac catheterization. So the whole story started, I don't know, about three and a half years ago. I was in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I was at the Knotty Pine Hotel. And I was walking to Dollar General kind of fast, and all of a sudden, I got a real heart thing. You know, it's like brought me to a stop. Okay, being that I don't have a doctor, I don't have a United States doctor. I mean, and I'm not sure what the situation. Well, the point was it just hurt. I thought maybe I had a thing. This was right directly 1 week after the Pfizer shot. The second Pfizer COVID thing happened. So there's all sorts of things called myocarditis or something, or an inflammation of the heart. And this is kind of documented, okay? Now, I can't talk much about it because, why? Because everything's censored. Okay, but that's when it hardened. This lasted, if I walked real fast for about, real fast, it would start hurting and I'd have to stop. Okay, this went on for almost a year and a half. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I went to a doctor in Parkview and I talked to this lady, and the minute that I told her that she says, what kind of medications? Now they assume that the minute that you're over 50 or 40 that you're taking all these medications. Now I don't take any medications. I am now, I guess. I'm taking Plavix. Okay, but that's it. But I take all these supplements and I take these vitamins. Do not tell them you're taking those things, because she instantly copped an attitude, became a man hater, and didn't do it. And right in the chart it says, walking real fast, he has a pain that lasts 5 minutes. Brings him to a stop. The correct thing would have do is to say EKG. Now, with what I know, I would have went in there and say, I need an EKG. I need an electrical analysis of my heart. And I would have told her what I do. That's what I learned from this whole thing. But I haven't been to the doctor really at all in 65 years, and I don't have a big bag full of medicine, and I'm not going to take all these medicines, okay? Because most of them, the side effects are taking your brain and making it into mush. Okay, the big deal here was I could have started this whole process 2 years ago. So I keep telling my sister, if I die on the table, sue them for all they got, plus they should sue COVID. Because I do think this was a direct combination of a side effect of COVID that made an inflammation of my heart. Who knows? This inflammation, what's the difference between an inflammation and an infarction? I got to do more study, right? So constantly doing research here. Okay, but it all started out then. But when I went my knee thing, they were going really good on the process. Then they got the EKG, the electrical graph showing my electrical things, and it showed up a what they call it a left anterior fascicular block. Okay, what that means is there's two different electrodes that go into my heart, and one of them stopped working, and then it did a bypass. Okay, and it was, but on the screen the peaks were different, so it gave an elongated thing. And that propagated them to give me a stress test. A stress test is where you run on a treadmill. Now that doesn't really work because I have both my knees and I can't really run because my femur has been broken like when I was 23. Okay, so they gave me what they called a chemical stress test. Well, the chemical stress test, in the views of the people doing that, which is more of an electrical thing again, said I had a infarction. Okay, an infarction is just the word for a heart attack. A heart attack is when the blood has been denied to a piece of the heart and you have a part of your heart die. Okay, so the next day, very quickly, they sent me to get a echocardiogram, which is like one of those sonograms. It's basically, it runs a high wave, I think sound through your heart, and they create a visual of this. That came back relatively good, except for some thickening of the heart. I've been told by the nurses. I hardly ever talk to the doctors. I don't have a clue about what these doctors, but the nurses are telling me most of the information. The thickness of the heart. I guess you really want the heart to be more thin, so it's more flexible. Okay, you don't want any thickening, but it was a little bit thicker. Okay, so and then they couldn't really find anything on the echo thing, which is a sonogram. Like, when you see the babies on there and they're showing the babies and the mother's got that little fluid, that's what that is. Okay, so after that, I went to the cardiac doctor, which I knew was going to tell me to get a cardiac catheterization. A catheterization is when they put the tube up through they put it in through my hand. Oh, where is it at? Okay, my sister's was all bruised to pieces. This is only like 2 days after, and hers was really bruised. Who knows? I did tell the guy, be careful with my veins. This is not what you do with veins. See, the veins got these little stop gaps in there, and they're one-way valves, and they keep going. So going against the grain, and this was going the opposite way. Let's see. So they're running a tube through this, and it's not what the vein was meant for, but they got it up there. They put the two stents in there. And I'm not sure. It looks like they blocked off two things, but they don't tell me. Is this thing porous? Now I got to do research to see if this thing that's expanding actually can let fluid go through it. Because there's a couple little shoot-offs. Okay, two sets of shoot-offs. They show that stents covering. Okay, but 85% blocked, and now I'm 100. That should mean that I have more in my brain. So I got 85% more in my brain, maybe. Okay, but bottom line is, everything's about the brain. I was laughing because I was having a debate with the three people working in the room on the cardiac catheterization. I said, I want you to keep the blood going to the brain. I really prefer this more than my heart. And I said, and the man, he agreed with me. The other two said, well, the heart's more important. I go, the heart doesn't work if if you don't have a brain, you don't have anything. So high priority, I keep the brain working, and I do a lot of exercises to actually get the gravity flow to my brain. I lay on the bed every day, and I put my bed off the thing, and I do like 30 raises. I can't do it for about a week until I get this sure. This when they put this thing through the wrist, it's like putting it in. It's like cutting your wrist. If you want to kill yourself, you slice the wrist down like this, and it cuts the blood things, and you slice them. So they kind of did that. They shut it, and it took a lot to work to do it. They had a real cool thing though. They made the blood stay in with pressure from air. Kind of cool. But then it was highly prone to leaking because it's a high pressure valve, not a low pressure one. Okay, so but they could have done it right through the groin. It would have maybe, I don't know, it might have been less invasive to think. The whole problem is the biggest problem on the medical systems, it appears here, is that this is not dynamically. My cardiac person is not talking to the person that did it. When I went to the cardiac thing, he said he wasn't going to do it, which made me happy because he was kind of an old guy. And he said, we're going to let the younger guys take it. I get in there, the guy's the same age as him, so there really was an old guy. Okay, so that was wrong. And then the cardiac doctor told me I had a large. He said, he used the word large, okay, part of my heart that had died. Okay, and he had got that from the stress test, the chemical stress test. But again, the only way to conclusively get it, so that when they did this thing, I said, no infarction, he had no heart attack. I asked the guy 3 times, okay, and now he was pretty arrogant, not real easy to deal with. And I mean, you kind of want a doctor to be arrogant. You want them to be confident. You want them to be like me. On the other side is when you ask them a direct question, you don't want them to deflect. He said this was all DNA, okay, which I got really kind of shut off at the point when he kept saying that my heart attack was DNA. My father and my brother both had heart attacks. My father had a heart attack caused by extreme stress of baling hay in a very hot sun when he was 25 years old. I don't think he had any more heart attacks. And my mother always said that God cured it. When they went to the doctor, there was no sign that he had a heart attack. Okay, this is 50 years ago, 80 years ago, right? And my brother had a heart attack when he ran cross country, which was a stress-induced heart attack. And then now my brother's had multiple heart attacks after, but he weighs 350 pounds and he does everything wrong, eats all the wrong food, hasn't adapted his thing. But then because of this history, they're blaming everything on the genetic situation of my family. My grandfather lived for 95. Engelbert, my great-grandfather, my great-great-grandfather Lemieux, my great-great-great-grandfather Lemieux lived all like 90-something. My grandmother lived to be like, I don't know, 87 or 88 or 99. I don't know, about 90. Okay, so I got the genetics to live a long time. But why do you live a long time? Because your heart keeps working, right? Okay, but since they went to the SAD diet, the standard American diet in the 1964s, everybody's got type 2 diabetes because they switched us from fat and the brain is all fat, okay? It's like the biggest, it's 20% of the brain consumes all your energy. Okay, the bottom line is they've been killing people in the United States right now with this diet with going to carbohydrates and not eating your breakfast of bacon and eggs and stuff. All my great, they ate bacon and eggs and whole food, and they lived on farms. And my father died at 83 with cancer. Prostate, because of the chemicals. I haven't had any chemicals other than shampoo put on my skin since my dad died about 10 years ago. And since I've cut my hair off, I haven't had any chemicals on my body except for these guys that cleaned off the area where they put that tube up my thing. I don't let anybody touch me, any chemicals, and you're gonna see that I'm gonna be wearing a lot of white cotton, 100% cotton clothes. The word is that we are taking in a credit card size of plastic every week. I keep getting this. There's ambiguity here. Some people say a month every week, but I will say at least once a month we're getting a credit card size of chemicals in our body called plastic, right? These nano-sized plastics. But the amount of chemicals that are entering our body through the reason why California and New York and these guys are kind of insane is probably too much carbon monoxide breathing in. I mean, it's a wall-to-wall traffic, and they want to call that good life. That is stressful life. There's many factors that contribute to your heart and everything, and a lot of it's emotional. And this idea that you're always busy, and you tell yourself that you're always busy, is probably the biggest problem you ever will have. The minute that you define your life as always busy, in me, I'm like going, what's wrong with you? Are you disorganized? I'm not busy in the least. Okay, and I've been to 114 countries. I used to sell 80 houses a year to 100 houses a year, manage 235 properties. I'm not busy. I've never been busy in my whole life. Yeah, I had a lot of drinking I did between the ages of 18 and, I don't know, 28. Haven't drank for 37 years. Bottom line is, you got to tell the doctors what to do. Do not tell them on any of the supplements you're taking, and you're going to have to leave this off the plate. I'm not sure they're going to ask you a question, are you just taking turmeric or something like this? You do have to kind of do a little bit of research that you don't have some conflicts. Both the Dr. Lisa and this guy White both had problems with me taking supplements. So I tell you, it's a horrible thing. And if one thing I'm sure I can do is I can diagnose the emotional status of a person. These guys, I was real nice with them, pretty did my best to be charismatic and thing, except when he told me that the human, when the guy told me it was all DNA why I'm having a heart attack and it wasn't a lifestyle, I was like going, crazy. Heart attacks are probably 85% lifestyle because we're eating too much. The number two things to give up probably to keep your heart going is all cooking oils like, canola and all these oils. You can only use olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil to cook with. All those other cooking oils are poisoning you. And then the other thing that's happening is all the milk products and then the wheat. So you give up all the grains, all the milk products, and all the things, and you'd probably be okay as far as cholesterol. I'm 100% sure I can lower my cholesterol, so I'm not going to take this Lipitor they gave me a prescription for yesterday. They gave me a Plavix thing, which is a thing that makes the platelets stay so they don't get sticky. Now, I do believe I need this because what happens is you don't want them to clump up on that little thing that they expanded inside the vein and have it stick there. So I'm probably going to take that for at least 3 months, one a day, with a baby aspirin. There's a debate whether baby aspirin or Plavix is better. I mean, everybody's contradicting everybody, and they act like the people that are on YouTube are not doctors. A lot of these people, like Dr. Gundry, he's done hundreds of open heart surgeries, right? Dr. Gundry is a open heart surgeon, okay? And so one of the best ones to refer on this thing. And I'm watching a lot of very doctors. I know you got a lot of chiropractors that want to call themselves doctors, and you got like Eric Berg and Dr. Bergman are both chiropractors. But the chiropractors, that doesn't mean they're not smart enough to be a doctor. It's like, I have no doubt that if I wanted to be a doctor, I have the brain to do that. I am a mechanical whiz, okay? I can understand how things work, okay? And strategically right now. So I'm trying to show you some strategies today. Okay, please tell the doctors what you want. Do your research. Watch, if you're going to watch a video on anything, you got to watch 8 of them. Okay, you can't watch just one video on a subject. You got to have 8 different opinions on it, and then you're going to go to the doctor, and you're only going to have one opinion from that doctor. And that doctor is not going to be happy if you're taking any kind of supplements or vitamins or turmeric with pepper or cayenne pepper or ginger or cinnamon. I got a ton of these I take, okay? And I got them strategically located, done during the day. Now, the problem with these things is they're not very easy. They're pretty kind of a little hard on the stomach. Right now I'm on a OMAD diet, 1 meal a day, window of about 3 hours every other day. So like today I'm not eating, okay? And I've already cut 13 pounds. And by the time I get to the thing, and this is lifestyle, and this is what the guy said is DNA. Obviously, if I'm weighing in at 198 and my optimum weight is 165, what is that, 35 pounds of extra weight? So I've got 35 pounds I'm going to cut. Okay, now that got to be careful because you got to keep the muscle. I don't want to carry around a bag of nails, right? A big 35, I'm carrying that plus 40-pound backpack plus 20-pound backpack on the front. I got 2 computers in my front backpack. And I'm not going to stop doing that. Okay, I'm going to live, okay? And this is what the doctors don't, they have no idea my lifestyle. They have no idea what I'm doing. They come in for 5 minutes and they take a snapshot and they make an opinion that is purely conjecture. It's just purely without enough information. Okay, because the lifestyle on how you live determines what happens to your body. Okay, so I'm Andy Lee Graham. They after this caddy, they put me on Plavix, which is, I don't know, some complicated word, Plavix and Lipitor, and they gave me nitroglycerin. I didn't pick up the nitroglycerin because they wanted me to pay $10. The guy put in the chart that I came in there because I'm currently having chest pains. I told him 3 times I haven't had chest pains in over a year, and they went into a great big long thing. I'm supposed to carry this nitroglycerin around for the next few days. I went to 3 different pharmacists yesterday and asked them about what this $10 was. And all 3 of them have said, we don't know. Okay, it's just what the insurance or the Medicare will pay. Okay, so I said nitroglycerin, and I said, the good part is the doctor finally at Kroger, the pharmacist at Kroger, not CVS and not Walgreens, they didn't know diddle. A lot of times they have a pharmacist and they got all these assistants that do all this stuff, and they basically are jumping onto one pharmacist thing, and the other people are just dinglings, okay? So the dinglings didn't know anything, and I did talk to the pharmacist in CVS, and she didn't know anything. I'm tied in with Walgreens because Walgreens I can access worldwide. I cannot access CVS abroad. I tried many, many times to access CVS abroad, but I'm going to load in like 8 different places where I would like to have the medicine sent so I can get it sent if I needed to by having my sisters pick it up easier and more convenient. The doctor the pharmacist at Kroger said that this prescription is probably good for a year, and if I want to go get say I start developing some heart pain, I can go get the nitroglycerin. I haven't had a heart attack, but they're worried about a heart attack, right? But of course they're going to tell me the worst case scenario, then they act like take it easy until you die, okay? Basically, they want you to just lay around until you die. Okay, that seems to be the recommendation on all the medical situation. They didn't give me any information whatsoever on how to diet, how to eat food. Actually, the list of foods that they provided me that I could eat before the cardiac catheterization was all carbohydrates, and I wouldn't eat all that stuff under any condition. They did give a couple things that I could eat. And I have no clue what's going on with this coffee. Everybody must be addicted to coffee, so they won't tell me not to drink coffee. Now, I went to decaf on my own thing. I do drink once in a while. I drink a normal cup of coffee, but I'm going to 100%, well, not 100%, as much as possible, unless there's just no choice, I'm going to get decaffeinated coffee because it still has these polyphenols. Coffee can be very good for you. There's a very good video by Dr. Eric, chiropractic, Dr. Berg, where he has 15, he goes 5x your brain, and there's 15 things. I actually have it on my screen on my computer all the time. Exercise, he calls it 15 things to improve brain health. Really good movie. Exercise, fasting, cold therapy, cod liver oil, low carb diet, keto, heat therapy, vitamin B1. I'm doing all these things. The probiotic, I'm not doing infrared from sunlight. I do go lay in the sun. I'm going to go to a 5-day I'm going to lay in the sun every day if I can. I don't know. I'll be glad when I leave the United States. I am not that happy here. Why? Because it's like life at slow speed, talking with a lot of people that have no interest in living. They are not alive. They're not striving to be alive. I feel like everybody's putting in their time. When they put in their time at their job, there's no vibrancy, okay? There's nobody. Somerset Maugham said, love without passion is not love, okay? And these guys are my brain comes in at super speed. I'm 65 plus years old. Don't ever tell your birthday on videos. Don't tell your birthday, your address, your social security. Those are the 3 things you need to steal your identity. Okay. and they really object to. They won't say my full name at the hospital, Andy Graham, but they'll say my birthday out loud. And I'm going, stop it. You have no clue on protecting my identity. Okay. They're doing their best in a convoluted way. This is the way the United States thing, and I think I could probably have done this a lot faster inside Guatemala or Colombia. I'm not going to go back to Guatemala to do medical stuff. I'll go to Colombia because really their IQ's higher. They're mostly European brains. And I had a lot of good luck in Colombia with dealing with the medical system, the teeth and the things like that. Africa is really just doesn't have any of the equipment. They don't have anything. They're really just lacking on the testing. If you really analyze what's going on here, all I've been doing is going to different lab tests. And so all the test is that is doing. The doctors are sort of just putting in their time. Okay, I haven't had any of the doctors really tell me much of anything that I didn't already know, and I'm really kind of sad. A lot of the nurses have told me things I didn't know. And so talk your nurse off. I make a set of questions. I make a list of questions every time I go to the doctor. And I try not to annoy them because they don't want questions. That's not their goal. Their goal is to not have any conversation that they can be held liable for. They don't want to give you any recommendations because they're all afraid of getting sued. And then they definitely do not talk about any kind of natural things that could save your life or any kind of ways to do this thing. They assume that you're not going to obey anything, and they treat you kind of like a child. Okay, and on the other side is I do suspect that 98% of the people that they're talking to cannot lose weight. They're not even capable of losing weight. Look at Oprah Winfrey, can't even keep her butt from being a balloon, right? And she has all the knowledge in the world. She got millions of dollars. OMAD, 1 meal a day, get off the milk, the oils. You can only use, to cook with, you can only use coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil. Olive oil, coconut oil, and avocado oil. Get off all those other types of oils, and obviously you don't want to go to McDonald's, but McDonald's is good. There's things that we are used to eating and we got raised on. This all started when we went from the agricultural world to the fast food world. But the bigger problem was they have treated everything. So don't eat anything in a pack. If it's got a label on it and it says all the different ingredients on it, you can't eat it. So I'm not going to be eating any of these things, which means I'm going to be a highly unsociable person. Plus, I eat every other day right now, but I will only be doing that until I get down to about 165 pounds and get cut. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Become a Patreon. I'm trying to figure out, I guess I'm going to have no choice but to stay here till the 26th of September because that's when I talk to the surgeon about my aneurysm. Okay, and tomorrow, Tuesday, I get another CTA, they call it. These guys, they can't stop giving abbreviations. It's the lack of communication when you use an abbreviation. Elon Musk talks about abbreviations and acronyms. An acronym's a word like HAUT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. It's a word. That's an acronym. Abbreviation is the letters. But there's the lady wrote me today. She goes, I'm a CV nurse, and I go to get your CT, and I want to scream at him. I go, why do you talk in such an ambiguous way? Are you not good at communicating? I mean, this is ridiculous. Everybody wants to. The minute they hear an abbreviation, they get lazy. Okay, so the CAT scan. I could tell you all these abbreviations. A CAT scan, which is, I had to go look it up, right? A CAT scan is known as a CT is a computed tomography. A CAT scan is a computed axial tomography. The word graphy means graphics, right? So this is a graphical stuff. Then I called up there and say, I try to get an appointment. They say diagnostic graphical. They don't say CAT scans, right? They keep changing all the terminology, and it's really the more they change this, the lack of communication, the thing. Now the great part is that this my chart makes it so I can almost access all my stuff. I was just reading a thing on my chart that they have to almost immediately give us the results of the thing, and they have to be. There's it's like a disclosure thing that I think the U.S. government did that said they have to give us this stuff. Okay, I didn't have a heart attack. I had 2 stents put in. I had a blockage, 85%. I have an aneurysm. That means just a bulge in one of the veins. So far, it looks like it's an arch on a vein that's supposed to have closed off at baby, when I was a baby. And it should have been closed, but it didn't. I just was talking to a friend, Rick, and he said that his father had a thing, they put a blanket around, and he said it would last forever. So they can couple these things and hold it in or whatever. The bad part, what happens if you just increase my blood pressure by, blood flow by 85%, right? And of course puts more strain on the heart and all the veins all around. They're not, my brother had a stent put in, and he almost had a lot of problems because the pressure was so high. Okay, you got to be really careful. They're basically not looking at it from a dynamically point of view that all along the system, you have to make sure that the body is up to this. So he did the CAT scan, the CT scan, and computed tomography before he did the thing. And if they would have waited and watched that, they could have said an aneurysm, and it could have been a dangerous scene, right? They suddenly increased the pressure in there, and you got an aneurysm, which is a blood vessel, an artery that is bigger. Charlie Foxtrot. Go look up that word. That is what the reason why it's a Charlie Foxtrot is because nobody is actually talking to anybody. They're not learned. They're not articulate. They're not trying to be articulate. They're purposely talking with jargon so that we don't ask questions. Whatever you do, when you go in there, just keep asking questions. It's just a doctor. It's nobody special. It's just a doctor. Okay, doctors are just people that took a lot of classes. That doesn't even mean they can overhaul a car. It doesn't mean they're a natural mechanic of anything. It just means that they are very specific on one little thing. And nurses, yeah, whatever. But you have people that are naturals. Look for the natural that makes you feel that he or she is 10 times smarter than you. I haven't met that person yet in this system. I did meet one in India when he took the pin out of my leg. He was a genius. But we have to settle somewhere along the line. This is the optimum situation for what I have to deal with. To do it any better, I would have to stay here for 2 years to get this done because I'd have to go research all these doctors and then take 3 months to get the appointment. And you have to give up your life to go to the doctors. Best thing to do is not get sick and don't go to the doctor. But I'm here and you're not, why not? I'm happy. I do think I have a little more blood to my brain, and that means I'm going to be more articulate and I'm going to have less brain fog. But I'm working real hard because I'm going to go on a whole food diet. That means that, any of the food like cheese is processed. Okay, anything that is not naturally how it comes out of the ground or off the animal is processed. Okay, and if it's got ingredients on the back and it's in a package, it's processed. This is bad for you. So almost every restaurant you'd ever go into is just one big processed thing. Cooking everything in sunflower oil and corn oil and all these things that are killing you. Okay, everything's an inflammation thing. It all causes inflammation, and that's, I think, what happened. I think the COVID-19 vaccination caused an inflammation in my heart and caused all this to start. I don't know about the blockage. That's probably not that. Okay. Become a Patriot if you want to know what I'm doing. I've got $1,600 to go to Israel. I have enough money to fly into Israel and stay for a couple months and come back, round trip. The minute I get the sign off from this doctor, if the doctor signs off on September 26th, I'll be trying to leave relatively quick for Israel. Then I don't know what I'm going to do. According to what the doctor says about the aneurysm, I don't like them putting me on a monthly appointment schedule. They did this to my mother. They're always scheduling the next, I call it the monthly pay plan. They're putting me on the monthly payment plan, and this is what they want. This is a business. The best advice I ever had when I was 21, I started my first business. The guy said, never take advice from somebody that can make money by giving you bad advice. That's doctors. Okay, I'm here and you're not. Why not?